Welcome everyone to today's episode. I am so happy that you could join us today. Now, I was just thinking, someone once said that one of the most powerful things that anybody can do, whether it's myself, whether it's yourself, is to share their life story. And why is that? And that's because these are real life stories. They're not fiction. And they tend to encourage people, to give them hope, to inspire them, to motivate them. And you know what? A lot of times people go away saying, you know what? If God can do it for that person, surely they can do it for me. Maybe in the same area, maybe in another area. So today we have one such person who's going to be motivating us and telling us what God has done throughout his life. His name is Ralph. Welcome, Ralph.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
We're so happy to have you.
Sure, it's a pleasure actually.
I'll be honest with you, I almost didn't contact you because I know you're so busy. Even now, he's coming from an engagement, and I was saying, I don't know if you will find the time, but I'm happy that you made the time. Thank you.
Sure, pleasure. I would not miss this for anything.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So I think maybe we can just ask you a bit of your background and, where you're coming from and who Ralph is, your full name and so forth. Then after that, we'll hear your story.
Okay. My name is Ralph. That's the name that I use, but the full name is Jonathan Ralph Kadurira.
Okay.
I'm a Shona Zimbabwean who resides in Harare. I'm a person who is known to be an advocate for purposeful living. That's basically who I am. I advocate for purposeful living. And then, of course, some might want to know my professional life and all. I'm both a social and a business entrepreneur. I do have certain enterprises that I run, like the likes of the Mesh, which is a social enterprise, and I do have Springtide Cleaning, which is a cleaning service business, and Piga Consultancy, a training and development company. So basically, that's just about Ralph. Another thing then that I'm known for now is by passion, I'm a speaker and I'm an author. Currently I have 6 books that I've managed by God's grace to author. Mm-hmm. So basically, that's all about Ralph.
Wow, thanks, Ralph. I can see you're a very busy man.
I wish I would be busy and be making so much money, I think.
Oh, it's coming. So yeah, thank you for that. So now we just want to find out. I know you've probably got lots of aspects that you want to share. So I'll just hand over to you and feel free just to tell us, what God has been doing in your life and the different things you've been doing.
Okay. I think I'm quite grateful to God for family, for friends, even for church. Church as a whole, for my pastors, because if I look at my life, where I am at today, had it not been for God and these people that He used, like my family, I don't know where I would be. Because growing up, I grew up with my mom and my little sister.
Okay.
Unfortunately, our dad passed on when I was 9. So basically, much of my childhood, if I may put it that way, I was basically raised by my mom.
Okay.
So being a firstborn, you had to do a whole lot of things.
I can imagine.
Yeah, my little sister was just, I started taking care of her. I always laugh and say that, remind her, I used to change. Those days there were no diapers.
There were no diapers. It was those cloth ones.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I changed your nappies, so you must respect me.
What's the age difference like?
9 years.
She's 9 years difference.
9 years
okay,
difference.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah, 9 years difference. So we never really. Some siblings can be friends because the age difference is very small.
Yeah.
Now for us, I was more like a deputy parent.
Yeah,
really.
Deputy parent.
So it's now when we are now grown that and now also that we work together. She works. We work together at Springtide Clinic.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
So because of that now we're grown and we can now share some of the things. It was quite a journey for us to get there.
Okay.
But that's how we grew up in Harare in Waterfalls. And then my mom is a reverend. She's a
Okay.
pastor
Okay.
for the United Methodist Church. So that's the church that I started going
Okay.
from childhood, really. And we were there. I started being very active in church things
Okay.
at a very young age. And I got so much involved with youth programs. I remember at some point I was in a youth committee. I was the youngest. I was 14,
Okay.
and I was the chairperson of that committee. There's the whole youth executive, and then there are subcommittees within that executive.
Okay.
So my portfolio was the chairman. I remember the deputy was like 21, and so I sort of like matured fast.
Yeah.
Because I remember the president of that youth executive was around 30 somewhere there, and
Okay.
there I was around 14.
Wow. Wow. You started young.
So yeah, so the people that I would move around with were like 10 years younger, 12 years,
Yeah.
12 older, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's then what shaped me. I didn't really then play around or fool around.
You were
Especially
like more
with,
focused and serious. Yeah.
with people of my age.
Okay.
So I then got involved in a lot of things, and because of that, because of church, I would speak, and at school, I would just find myself in leadership positions. Even up until like when I got to university, I was in the SRC. I would just find myself somehow. I don't know. I know even till today, if I know. Even if I'm not looking for it, I know
it will come
it
looking
will
for you.
if I get into a different space, a different organization, I'm new there, I know for sure
you're
that
going to be a leader of
I'm
some
going
sort.
to have some sort, yeah.
Well, that comes from God.
Yeah,
leadership is like a gift.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. So because of that, so I did my my school. I think I always tell people that I think I lacked career guidance.
Oh.
Because when and that's why I'm so much an advocate for purpose.
Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't have that. I didn't have a sense of purpose as I grew up, and I lacked career guidance also because when I was in high school, I was doing sciences from my O level.
Okay.
And then when we were going to A level, people started saying, commercials are the in thing. You work in the banks and all that. So I went to a different school. I convinced the headmaster there that I needed to get into commercials. I studied accounting. which I had not done at O level.
O level, okay.
And I failed it dismally at A level because I only started doing accounting at A level. And then when we were doing that, IT became the thing. Now I have to get into IT and all that.
While you were doing your A levels?
While I was doing my A levels, now I'm commercials. Now I have to go back to do those sciences that I had teached.
Yeah.
So I then had to go via Polytech to do some certifications of IT, and then that's how I then got into uni. And as I was doing, I did IT. But
also in the middle IT at university.
I did IT.
Oh,
I did
really?
IT, but there's nothing of IT that I'm doing right now.
Because it's obviously not linked to what you're passionate about.
Yeah. So one of the days, I went to a camp, youth camp, and I saw these guys who were training us, and I felt so passionate about how they were doing it. And I think I remember I posted one of the guys. I could mention names, right?
Yeah, you can. Sure.
There's a gentleman. His name is Dion. I loved how he was doing his work, the training and development, and myself just being naturally a speaker, because from leading from church, all these, I would stand in front of people. I was never scared of crowds.
Yeah.
So it was something that I saw myself even doing. So I fell in love with that. I started just, conducting trainings. I didn't even go to school for all of that. But because I'm also an avid reader, so I would read a lot of books on different topics. So if I'm presented a certain topic to train on, I would do that. And so it became frequent that my references now were speaking more than my qualifications in that space, because I would then say I was training this group, I trained this company, I trained this on that. So now my profile sort of like overshadowed
Your IT.
my
Yeah.
in the training, because people would want to know, fine, you're talking about strategy and all, but then you studied IT.
Okay.
So how did you end up? But because of me reading books, really, different topics, that's how I got into that space. And
So let me just stop you there. So which kind of people would you be?
Training.
Yeah, training and talking to. Which groups of people?
So initially I started off with youth
Okay,
groups,
youth groups. Okay.
church groups, youth movements, and then it went into companies, organizations, NGOs.
So corporate setup.
Corporate, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Corporate, I've done big corporates for training. So it started off with like team building training, personal development training, the strategy, and all of that.
Oh, wow,
so
that's
I would
quite a lot.
just then read more and expand the portfolio. But that's how basically I started. And I even registered the company with a friend when I was still in college.
Oh, wow. For training?
For training,
Okay.
yes.
So you teamed up?
Yeah, we teamed up, and then he was doing other things. So and then of course I would invite other facilitators to also come through, help me with different topics, and possibly because they'll be experts in that area. But then that's how we then moved. And then, fast forward. So back then, I think it's something that I realized in hindsight when I was now looking at my authorship journey to really try, because I was trying to pick at what point really did I start writing.
Writing books.
Yeah, but what I usually tell people is I started to develop a passion to write about different topics.
Okay.
But most of those topics, if not all, were Christocentric. I would, based on scripture.
That's
also
good.
And so I'll just write. I remember in 2013, 2014, started writing a devotional. It was called Mind Blower Devotional.
Oh, that sounds great. You published that?
So what I did, that devotional really gave birth to 2 books.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it was like Okay.
Yeah, the book that you helped me with and you endorsed.
Yes.
It came from a series because I would write a topic and I would run with it for a week or 2.
Okay.
And I'll just build on it. And then only then when my sister, a cousin of mine, said, that's when she brought the whole idea. Said, Ralph, you could write a book. And I said, what?
This is your sister?
Yeah, this is my sister, yeah.
Wow, that was good of her. You need people like that in life.
She's my cousin. But you know how us African Shona people, we don't really have cousins.
No, we've got sisters and brothers. Only.
Yeah, we have sisters and brothers.
Not cousin, brother, cousin, sister. People like saying that.
Yeah, exactly.
It just sounds strange, actually, but we do tend to say that.
Yeah.
So it's your sister.
Yeah, but then now, if I really want to specify, because most people then just know my little sister.
Oh, so they're like, is this another sister?
Yeah, so for me to specify now, I then have to say cousin. But
cousin, okay.
My sister, she's older than me.
So she saw something in you. I think that's a very important thing, because some people don't have that.
I think you need something that I learned, that at times you need someone who can see either your giftings or your talents and all that, and encourage you to develop them.
Or say, why don't you just try this? What about this?
Yeah. So I think I owe all my authorship journey to her, because she's the one who said, you are. And then another friend of mine as well, who also then says, you're giving information for free.
You could be charging.
Yeah, people are charging for this kind of information.
So you weren't charging at this stage? Is it training?
No, it was just for the writing stuff that I would just write. And then for the trainings, most I would do pro bono, because I also wanted to just build a profile
and make a name for yourself.
Yeah.
So if you start charging, you're now competing with everyone who's charging. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So for the writing, after that, I did my first book, the one that you endorsed.
Yes. Ignorance. Something about ignorance.
Fighting ignorance.
Fighting ignorance. Yeah. I remember it was an excellent book.
Yeah. So after that, now, you do these interviews and all that, and people will say, tell us about your writing journey. How did you start? So that's when I really then started to think, I was very good in creative writing.
Okay.
In school, even poems.
Even poems?
Yeah, even poems. Wow. I remember I wrote this other poem when I was in primary, in grade 5.
Grade 5, wow.
Yeah, my teacher went around the other teachers
Saying-
showing them, and then I was the highest, but I had a 9 out of 10.
Wow.
And then she says the other one is because of your handwriting.
Okay.
I have a very bad
Bad
handwriting.
handwriting, yeah.
So I then looked back and saw that, I actually started then, and I would always read novels and all that. So I think that also, just had something to do, with giving me the knowledge and the skill to write.
To write, yeah.
So that's how I then started writing. And then because of that writing thing opened so many doors. I started doing radio, I started doing TV, I would be on shows and all that.
Talking about your books?
Talking about books and other things
Other
also.
things as well.
Yeah.
Training
other things.
and all that.
Yeah. So because of that now I realized that, that gift of writing then started opening other doors. That's how, and at times I remember there's this other gentleman, is a lawyer. He came into my inbox and said, are you connected? Are you connected to people? Like, you're always on TV, you're always on radio. And I told them,
Connected?
Yeah, like, I think you have connections either at radios and whatever.
Oh, then how do you get into those spaces?
How do you get into those spaces? Because I believe you also wanted to be,
okay. to be part of that.
To be part of that. And I literally told him, in all honesty, if I want to say how have I got into that space, I don't really have an answer.
You don't have an answer?
Because it's a different story for every radio station. And for every program, for every TV program, I just get calls, I don't know, I don't even know where they had my name or whatever.
Yeah.
But I know for certain that my very first time being on radio was a mentor of mine who got an invitation from a producer, and then he said, no, I'm not the one ideal for that show. I know for young
somebody else
who will be very ideal. And from that day, it just then started off, and I think that's how. So I think it also, like you were talking about, how important it is to have people in our lives who get to identify, because had he not identified whatever that he saw, really, till today I haven't asked why he then says I was ideal for that show. But whatever he saw something and he referred me, and then from then on I just started doing shows. And I remember the producer then said, now you're coming every day.
Wow, that's really a God thing, honestly.
Yeah.
So, I think these are destiny helpers.
Because
God is there, but he uses people.
Exactly.
And so obviously these were destiny helpers.
And I think it's something that I even wrote in one of my other books, to say you also need these destiny helpers, people who come in and shape you and and correct you and guide you into becoming who you ought to become. So basically, that was my writing journey. From then I would then write articles and all that, and today I'm on book number 6 now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you remember offhand the titles of all your books, or is that a difficult thing?
No, I do remember.
Please tell us the titles.
So the very first book that I wrote is the one that you endorsed. It's called Fighting Ignorance.
Okay.
But we published it. It was the book number 2 to be published. I wrote it and then I put it aside. And then I wrote. So now when I was now doing the devotionals, the whole entire year of 2013 I was doing it alone.
Okay.
2014 I was joined by a friend, so we would alternate. I write today, they would write to the next day, and I write the other day. And we went on for another whole year.
Okay.
So when these whole ideas of saying were being shared to, like, you can write a book, I then said, let's co-author a book from our devotionals. So we were writing on the same topic. I think we got this idea from a book by Kiyosaki and Trump.
Okay.
Where they would...
Trump?
Yeah, and Donald Trump, yeah.
Oh my gosh, really? I didn't know he co-authored a book.
He's got many of them, but there's one that he co-authored with Robert Kiyosaki. That's like way back. I don't think he even had ideas of becoming president.
And Robert, he wrote a book. Is that Rich Dad?
The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, yeah.
Yes,
that's the author. Okay. So I think it was a book on life, basically, and business.
Okay.
And then, but I think it's titled Why We Want You Rich or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
interesting.
So they would write a topic. They would both share their minds on a specific topic. Donald would say something concerning that topic.
Okay.
Let's say it's investment, he would talk about his own side, and then Kiyosaki on his own side. So that basically we borrowed that idea from there. So we'd talk about something, I'll share my insights, and then my co-author would also share their insights.
You put it together.
And then we put it together. So that book now is the first one. It's called Mind Blower, The Beginning. So the beginning was sort of like a statement to say, we are now starting this thing of writing. So this is the beginning. And
that made sense for that to be the first book
published.
I think so as well.
Yeah, and then after that came the Fighting Ignorance one. And then the third one is another collaboration. I joined with 6 other youths.
6, okay.
So we are 7 from 4 different countries.
Wow.
And
which countries are those?
South Africa, Botswana, Angola, and Zimbabwe.
Okay.
So from Zimbabwe, we were 4.
Okay.
And then the other 3 are there from Botswana, or from South Africa.
Okay.
I only got to meet the other one. This is a book that we did in 2017.
Okay.
I only got to meet the other co-author from South Africa only last year.
Yeah. Wow,
but then but we like meet physically. But we had worked together on a book. It had been published. She even had the U.S. Embassy in South Africa buy that book and put it in their library.
Wow.
And yeah, it was quite a success. And then it's called Destiny Sagacity. 7 in
Destiny.
It's called 7 in 1.
7 in 1.
Destiny Sagacity.
What does the second word mean? Sagacity.
Sagacity is all about the wisdom that you get on a specific topic.
Okay.
So it's all about getting wisdom in destiny matters.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to write that down on the video. Sagacity.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then...
So that's the third book?
That's the third book,
one.
yes.
Okay.
And then in that same year, I then did a solo project, another book on purpose, which I think was my first book specifically on purpose. Solo
and focused on that topic. Okay.
And it has got another funny name. It's called 109 Pursuit of Purpose Aphorisms. So these are like my thoughts. Like I started writing. I would just have a purpose thought or something, and then I'll just share on my Facebook. So I just shared, and then I went on number 1, and then so I just then started sharing them until they got to like number 20.
Are these like nuggets or
these were just like nuggets, the nuggets that I'll just put
on purpose.
On purpose, yeah. So I think when I was now like on number 20, someone said, "This is a book coming." I said,
"There you go, another person speaking into your life."
So I then wrote and said, when I got to 109, I was like, okay, now I will expand on this. So I took those nuggets and then started explaining, and because some would really need explaining.
Okay.
So I then started explaining and all that and building on them. So that I came up with that book.
And I'm supposing you chose 109 because it's eye-catching.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
People are used to 100.
110,
110 is boring.
Yeah.
109, someone will be like, why 109?
Exactly. I said, why not?
Why not?
I came up with 109 nuggets. So those are the ones that I'm going to share.
That's eye-catching, 109.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I came up with those ones. And then
that's
after
your fourth
that,
one.
Yeah, that's my 4th one. And then my 5th one is an interesting one. Now that's my only fictional book.
Oh, really? You know, I didn't know about that. You do fiction as well?
Yeah, that's the only one that I think I'll do it again.
Wow. Well, you did say you were good at creating.
I was. So it wasn't really an issue. And also, this one was based on a true story, actually. It's based on a true story.
So based on as in a bit of facts are altered?
Exactly. So what happened was, I think I was speaking at a seminar or something. And then a lady came and said, could you write a book about my story?
About her story?
And I'm like,
that's brave of her.
How old are you?
That's bold of her.
And then she was like, I'm 24, 25. I'm like,
what kind of story is this?
You want us to write a book about you already?
You thought she was too young.
Yeah, but then she was like, yeah. Then I said, okay, have you done that before? I said, no, I haven't done that. I know of ghostwriting. People can write, they can write for you.
And then
it's
you don't have to know the original author.
Yeah. But I haven't done it. But what is it exactly that you want? No, I want you to write.
She wants you in particular to write the story. Well, she had confidence in your abilities, obviously.
Yeah. I think so, yeah. So we had a meeting. So initially I said, okay, let's meet. So we had a meeting. She came. and we had a story. I was like, you know what? We need another one. We need another meeting where I would come and
So
record.
you sort of caught on to the vision.
Yeah,
of what she was
because
talking
hers
about.
was a very sad story which
Oh.
had so many things to learn from.
Okay.
And that's when I realized we actually have got something big here.
Okay.
So that's when I requested for another meeting. And then I think we had several other meetings because now I was trying to get a story. So how she grew up in a very miserable circumstance. Because she grew up with a father and then a stepmom, so she was getting abused by the father, the stepmom, and also the stepsister.
Oh dear.
And because of that, she would change schools. I think she changed just in primary school, she changed schools like 12 times.
12 times?
Yeah,
Oh,
in those 7 years. And then from then on, she then started, but at 18, she then left the country and got herself into prostitution when she got into Joburg. So she was now into prostitution until a relative found her, informed the other relatives, and then that's how then they helped her to come back. But then when she came back, she was now living with a mom.
Her real mom?
Yeah, biological mom, yes.
Okay.
But then the biological mom was sick also, and she really couldn't take care of them, and so she went back into that thing again.
In Zimbabwe?
In Zimbabwe.
Okay.
And then
That's very sad.
until she got so it's a story of, you know, it's a story with so much like
Tragedy, yeah.
abuse, and there's sibling abuse which is rarely spoken of. You know, siblings do actually get to abuse each other, and then I had to research deeper to say what effects does such kind of abuse have on kids.
Probably mental health?
Yeah, so much more actually, even their performance and all that.
Okay.
So there was so much, even confidence and everything else like that. So there were so many things that were brought up in the story. Even an interesting one where I would always then say every woman should read that book is because of how.
I want to read it now.
Yeah, especially the
I want to read
daughter-mother
that one.
relationship the daughter-mother relationships that were coming out from the book, the lessons there and all that. And also something interesting which she then said when now she was into prostitution, she was saying there are so many things that the men that they would engage with would tell concerning their family lives and all that. And there are times not every man would actually, get a prostitute or a sex worker, would then eventually sleep with them. Some would possibly just want to spend time.
That's interesting.
And they would empty a whole lot of things. So there are so many things, because now those gentlemen won't have anywhere really to share these stories. So possibly they are at church, they are the leader. At work, they are the boss. At home, they are the father.
So everyone's looking up to them.
Looking up to them, and they don't really. And men being men, if they share with friends, they will just laugh it off.
Yeah.
You know, and this one, you know, and then
so
that's
nowhere
it.
really you can go.
Yeah, so they would then tell almost everything to these guys, knowing, you say, probably not going to be seeing this person again, so they'll just empty out.
That's an interesting aspect. I don't think it's something that's talked about a lot, but it's quite interesting.
Yeah, so that's then what made me to agree to writing the book. So it's called Short Time.
I definitely want to read this now.
So Short Time comes also, so people always then ask me, which short time are you talking about?
Oh, your titles are catchy. So even that one, I'm wondering, Short Time.
Yeah.
But please tell me it's got a happy ending. Does it?
It does. It does.
With her. She must have come out of that situation.
She came out of it, and then the aunt, fortunately enough, she had an aunt who was a pastor, who then took her in, started teaching her. Imagine she's 24, she does not know how to cook, because she left. She was being abused there. She never really had time to. The stepmom, the stepsister never really. She was not allowed in the kitchen.
She was never empowered, really.
She was not allowed in the kitchen, and then when she fled, she got into prostitution. They would just take away. So the moment she sleeps with someone, she gets money. She orders, food. And then what she would just do, she would get that money. It would be spent in clothes and food, and nothing else. So to beautify herself, and then get food, and maybe rent, and basically there's nothing else. so she would not cook.
Yeah.
So she got to 24, and for a Shona girl to get to such an age without knowing how to even cook sadza,
Yeah, that's
vegetable, the basic of meals that you can think of, she could not.
very sad actually.
Yeah. So to imagine that, you would possibly think if she would tell you I don't know how to cook, so you think probably she was spoiled or something like that. But it was something that came as a result of how she grew up.
Did she ever tell you why she wanted you in particular to write that book?
I
or
think
you never got to know really?
I think it's the stories that I was sharing in the presentation, because I was at a youth function. It was an academy or something. I don't really remember the name. So she was part of it. She was part of the program of the young people who were being trained. And then I came and I was speaking. I don't really remember what I was talking about, but I think it stemmed from what I was speaking
She may
on.
connected with something that I think this is the person to do my book.
Yeah. So
is her real name used, or she wanted it to be? It's a fictional sort of.
Yeah, So basically a story.
Semi-fictional sort of.
Yeah. Basically a story was. When she narrated, if I'm to write it down, I could possibly just do a page or two.
So you sort of.
But then now I had to create story. Like, for example, I should say when I was growing up, the other day I came back and my mom and dad were fighting, and then I left, and now I had to create a whole
for the
fighting, how it happened, what was being said. So all this now is being fictional.
And that's where creativity comes in.
Yeah. So that's how then I came about with the book. Yeah, and then also there were other lessons that we would get that I fused into that book, like even business lessons that you could actually learn from prostitution.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated. Tell us.
Like, those guys, they don't just stand anywhere. You like right here in Harare, we actually know the places where if you have to drive,
Yeah, it's very strategic.
It's strategic. Yeah. The environment and all that, they are not just in plain sight, and the way they dress, you don't need to be told that this is a prostitute who is a sex worker who is selling a body, whatever. You don't need to be told. You pass through, you already know this is exactly what they're doing. So in terms of marketing and branding, you don't need to explain anything to say, okay, what product is this?
It's self-explanatory.
It's safe. Yeah. So a product has to be like that. You see something, you know exactly what it's meant to be used for, and everything like that.
Yeah, interesting.
And they are risk takers. Imagine someone is just coming, you don't even know them.
They could be a murderer.
They could be a murderer. They just and there are so many challenges that they would face also, in that whole business of theirs. So there are so many of them.
Well, you might not be paid.
Yeah, you might not be paid. That happens. So there are so many things actually that I had to put there.
That's very interesting.
And come up with book. And so that's book number 5. And then book number 6 is this one.
This one.
Unlock Your Why.
So guys, this is my copy. I asked him to bring a copy for me, so I've just bought this. It's on my list to read this holiday, this Christmas season.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So
it's called Unlock Your
Why.
Your Why. So tell us about it. I'm sure that's very connected to
so it's
you normally talk about purpose.
Yeah, so it's a guide to discovering and living a purpose-driven life.
Okay.
So basically what I then did, I started a few years back, I did a radio show on Heart and Soul Radio. I don't know if now if it's airing, but it used to just be an online radio platform, Heart and Soul.
Yeah, I've seen it.
So I did a show, I did about, for 22 weeks, I was interviewing people.
22 weeks?
Yeah, 22 weeks.
Almost like half a year or something.
Yeah, almost half a year. So I was interviewing people, different individuals from different spaces, industries, ages, not prominent. Some were prominent, some are not prominent. I was just basically looking at, trying to have people who can possibly represent a huge chunk of population.
Okay.
And then I was getting to hear their stories, how they're pursuing their purpose and all that. So it's from those interviews that then gave birth to this book.
Okay.
And I do have, it was quite a huge one because I had about 15 chapters, which then 16 actually.
Oh.
Which then my editor then said, no, We are removing some of them.
Oh.
So now it's about 14 chapters.
So those will form part of the next book?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's all about like the quest to join the journey of pursuing purpose, recognizing signs of purpose. I talked about passion. I talked about clarifying your core values. I talked about daring to explore possibilities, applying skill and talent for lasting impact, the role of knowledge for a life of meaning, career and purpose. I was trying to demystify certain myths around that area because people tend to think that your career is your purpose.
I know a lot of people actually put you in a box.
In a box.
Use themselves as well as you.
Yeah. So that's basically that's it. So I talked about different then there are other people whose lives I didn't meet them, but I was researching and studying on their lives. Some great, and I also then wrote this book with the African reader in mind.
Okay.
Because much of the self-help, motivational books or whatever that are there, most of them that are flooding the book market are American books, and at times we can't relate because
it's not our context.
Yeah, because an American will say, "I was so broke. I was so broke, very very broke. I was sleeping in my car."
I'm like, okay, you've got a car. You even have a car.
You even have a car. Like
some people will be sleeping outside.
Yeah, like what are you saying? You have a car.
Yeah.
You're saying you're broke.
I think that's important for people because then people can relate to a similar context.
Yeah. So I try to engage, Africans so that we can really relate. So it's a great book that can help those who know their purpose and pursuing it. You already know your purpose and you're pursuing it, but because the journey has got challenges and all that, so it's a book to learn from all these different people, what challenges they're facing, how they're doing it. Very interesting topics. I remember the other one is love and purpose, where I interviewed couples.
Okay. Oh.
The other one is a prominent couple, which was the last couple that because I interviewed a couple which had just got engaged.
Okay.
And then another one which was like 2 or 3 years into marriage, and then the last one which is like 10 years in marriage, Janet and Monyamanyoa.
Oh, nice.
And
that's the prominent couple.
Yeah, that's a prominent couple. Yeah.
Okay,
and
that should be interesting.
How they live, how they, like the other person is pursuing their purpose, the other person is pursuing their purpose. How do you come together? How do you handle whatever hurdles that are there and all of that? So it's quite an interesting
It's a loaded book.
It's a loaded book with so many lessons. We're covering different areas from just you being yourself and even when you're now with relations, networks, your friends, and even the love aspect of it. Because I believe almost everyone at some point will fall in love and
I think so.
Be with someone. Yeah. So that also, how then do you navigate if you find yourself in that space where you already have your own purpose and you're meeting someone with their own different purpose, and then you're coming in together. How do you blend
and not clash, but somehow complement each other?
Yeah. So very interesting insights that came from all those couples that I then put and build on. So yeah, it's quite something. So basically, I think that's the whole authorship journey.
Okay.
So because you write, if you're writing, you end up speaking.
Yeah.
If you're speaking, then you end up writing.
You end up writing.
So I would say I'm a speaker because what started for me was speaking.
Okay.
So I'm a speaker who found himself to become an author.
An author.
Yeah.
And it's around mostly purpose, not only but mostly purpose.
Yeah, mostly purpose.
Okay.
Mostly purpose. They now call me Mr. Purpose.
Yes, I actually wanted to say that. Oh no, so you beat me to it. I was actually saying,
so
I would call you Mr. Purpose.
Yeah.
When I think of you, I think of purpose. I think I actually quoted one or two of your quotes in my previous videos. I can't remember.
Yeah. I remember you shared with me. Yeah.
I shared with you, and I wanted to ask you. There's something that's on your Facebook bio. Now I can't remember it off. It's about status and purpose. Can you tell us about that a little bit?
Okay,
I'm
on
putting you
my
on the
Facebook.
spot.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's something to do with status and pursuing purpose or something.
Yeah, I just wrote, life is too valuable to pursue status or to waste in pursuit of status. pursue purpose.
Wow, that's so
Yeah.
powerful right there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are busy pursuing status
Yeah, yeah,
and getting
yeah.
lost, and your
And
purpose
getting
gets lost.
Yeah, and then at the end of the day, you really can't find fulfillment. You are disheartened. You are, sad. You possibly get into depression, because much of the things that we think would give us fulfillment in life,
They don't.
They don't.
Because they're temporary.
Yeah, they're temporary, and then at the end of the day, it might be too late for you then to realize, oh, what I was pursuing now has possibly left me even worse than I was.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically that's what I advocate for. I believe each and every one of us was created for a purpose.
That's
We
so
were
true.
created to make a difference. Everything exists to serve purpose. We are sitting on a chair, it's serving its purpose. So each and every one of us, I think that's the bedrock of the ecosystem. I think, you give, you take, you receive. We breathe out carbon dioxide. The plants need that carbon dioxide. They give us the oxygen. And so I think you shouldn't live a life where you are just receiving.
You can't be. I think whatever your purpose is to touch lives in some way. I think a life well lived is one way. In some way, you must be impacting people in some way, whatever your purpose is.
Yeah. And I think it's also something inherent, because I believe each and every one of us, the way, have you ever asked to stop, if you ever stopped driving or whatever, and then you stop and you're asking for directions, most of the times, you would find that people will be eager to help you, to say, no, you do it like this, So I have seen with, some of these, seemingly trivial scenarios like that, to notice that in almost everyone, there's that inherent feeling or wanting to help.
Yes.
Yeah, if given the time, the chance, and the resources to do so, possibly a whole lot of people would do a lot. But at times we don't do it because we think, or we don't even know how to. Yeah. So at times, but I've seen it that in people, I always tell people to say, there's always something in you that wants to do something for someone, somewhere.
It's inbuilt.
And for you, that's the purpose.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Yeah, I've never thought of it like that, but it's true.
So basically, I think, basically that's so that I do advocate for purposeful living. Yeah.
Now, I've got a question for you. You said that your book, if I'm not mistaken, talks about people who already know their purpose and maybe how to channel it, what to do, to learn from other people and how they dealt with their purpose. Now, what about those people who don't know their purpose? It's sort of like a two-sided question.
Okay.
How about if you don't know your purpose? And also, what's God's role in that? Like, how would you sort of like address that? And I think a lot of people struggle with that. They want to know what they're created to do, but they don't really know. And
really
talking
know.
about your God-given purpose, not something you are saying yourself.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I can see someone doing something and I'm like, oh, I'd like to do that. I think I should also be on stage, but maybe your purpose is behind the scenes. But what if you're, I want to say clueless. You can suspect. What if you're clueless? That's the extreme.
Okay, yeah,
and
that's
also,
the
what's God's role in that, in you discovering your purpose?
Okay, so the book also, like I had mentioned, it speaks to people who know their purpose and they're already pursuing it.
Okay.
It also speaks to people who know their purpose, but they are not doing anything about it.
Okay.
Possibly because they are scared, they have the fear of the unknown,
No confidence.
The no confidence and all that. They possibly think, my life can come out wrong here. So I speak to those people as well. And then also the other ones that you mentioned, those who are the extreme, who have got no clue whatsoever. I actually then get to, I believe, once you read the book, by the time you even get into the third or so chapter, already you have got an idea of what's happening.
Okay.
And so I do speak about that because, and to just come into your question again, you then get to discover, I speak, because when it comes to purpose, it's not like a formula that I can give to say this if you do, but there are pointers, there are certain things, there are triggers that are there that point you to your purpose.
Okay.
To say, you know what, because there are so many things that lead us into purpose. Some are by their passions, some are by their pain.
That's interesting.
That they face. There are certain things that can pain you. I always give this example to say, we all see people who ask, or who beg rather, in the streets and all that. And we all, it's natural to want to help, but there are those who feels like it's
They want to cry
like,
even.
yeah, they want to cry
Yeah,
even.
yeah.
So that's another sign to say,
That's interesting.
and they have a way of then helping and doing those things. And so there are certain things, like for example, even when it comes to leadership, governance, politics, someone is pained by even potholes. Some of us will probably used to those, but someone will be pleased to say,
They'll lose sleep.
I can't, man, this is not it.
Yeah.
And it's so, and they just want to fix it. And
Yeah.
once it's fixed,
Yeah.
they're fulfilled.
Yeah.
Not for them to gain money or to gain anything really, fame, power or whatever,
Yeah.
but to just have things run
Yeah.
smoothly.
Yeah.
So that's another sign, because most of us, yes, we are frustrated and all that by whatever that we might see, we might not be right. But someone, it goes beyond the frustration.
Yeah.
It's just too much. They have to act
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah.
And they can't sleep until they've found a
it's been
solution.
sorted out,
So
yeah.
those are some of the things also that triggers or show you direction to say, this is your paper. There are certain things also that come naturally. Like you don't try.
Yeah.
You just wake up and you're just doing it.
And sometimes you don't see it,
And you don't
but
see
somebody else who's in your maybe inner circle or even
Yeah.
outer can say that I've noticed this about you.
Exactly.
That's actually very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like when I was talking to Janet and Munya, you might want to know that when Janet got into the music too, it was because of that. And I said, I think you can do this. And I don't know, maybe she wouldn't have gone into that space and wouldn't have possibly known her had she not possibly met a husband.
It's possible.
Who then identified that talent in his wife to say, I think this is you and I'll help you. Let's work together. And then today they are where they are. So
That's
at times
so
you
true.
need those people, like you're mentioning. Yeah. We all need those people who get to identify those talents and then they say, you're good at this. Because at times we don't even know.
Yeah, at times we don't even know.
People don't know themselves. We don't know them. We don't know ourselves. We don't even know what we like, what we don't like. And that's how then also we, in training, in personal development training, we always then say the cornerstone of personal development is self-awareness. You need to know and understand yourself. What are you good at? What are you not good at? Where are you going? Where are you coming from? Why are you here? And all those questions, at times we don't sit down and ask ourselves that.
Yeah.
And then that's why at times we find ourselves in places that possibly don't really go, well with us.
That's so true. That's
Yeah.
so true. Wow. So I think maybe in closing, I'm just going to ask you, to summarize maybe two things. How you saw God's role in all this, and then just something for people who also need encouragement in this purpose journey, because I think purpose is a journey. It doesn't just happen. It's something that maybe you keep refining throughout your life. Just something like a take home on that.
Yeah, I think basically what I could say is, in life, you need to show up. You need to do what you can do. But whilst you are doing it, I believe God will bring destiny helpers, because there are so many people who are out there who would want to help you, but they don't know where to find you.
Yeah.
There are scholarships right now that are there. There are people with scholarships. They want to, to sponsor kids who are smart. But if you don't show us that you're smart,
You won't get the scholarship.
you won't get the scholarship, because so I think you need to, in life, you need to show up. If you do not know how, just start by exercising what you feel like. Whatever good that you feel like doing, do it. And then helpers will definitely come. Helping, if I'm saying I'm escorting you, I'm not the one going. And I can only escort you if you're going. If you're not going, you don't need escort.
Yes, that's so true.
You only need escort when you are going. So those people who are to help you, they help you when you're doing something. So do something, And in the journey, don't try and find all the answers at once.
Yeah.
You actually, this journey of purpose actually, it gets refined as you go. It gets refined as you go. And for me, I've seen it that, there are moments when I can't, if someone to say, how did you get into that place? I don't have an answer. The answer that I would then give you, because now I know, okay, when I say I don't have the answer, like I don't have a formula.
Okay.
But my answer will be, it's God. I don't know how, but I know it happened.
It's just God's grace.
It's just God's grace.
Yeah.
You find yourself in different platforms, and it's just God's grace. You can't really have, you have people that you get connected to. You can't even. I remember this other time. There's this young lady that I worked with for close to 4 years, and she was really good in her work. And I would always joke around to say, if her name is Amanda, I said, if I had at least about 3 Amandas, I would rule this country. I would definitely, because she was so organized. She is organized in every, we are no longer working together though.
Okay.
But very organized. So at one point I sat down and said, hey Amanda, how did we even meet?
You can't even think.
And then she was also like, how did we meet?
Know.
And we had to think, we had to sit down for like 5 minutes trying to think
Going
exactly
backwards, yeah.
how. But then what I learned from that is, say, at times God just puts in people to help you. And and another thing is, we are always under observation. There are always people watching. And so whatever that we are doing, we should know that not only God is seeing us, but even
Other people
that He sends. So I've seen God in so many ways. I've seen God. Just yesterday, I was telling someone about our business, Springtide Cleaning. We launched in Cape Town last year. And I always then say, there's a brother of mine who's helping me. And people who have seen us, they think he is my biological brother. But if I'm to tell you how I met that man, and if you are to see us together, how they have opened their doors, for us, the opportunity, how they have helped me, you would think, these are like siblings. But I just met him. So funny, I just met him, and someone mentioned his name, said, there's a man who does these things and all that. And then the very next day, I met them.
Oh, wow.
Through someone. Imagine.
Oh, imagine.
And then when I saw him, I said, because the person who told me, no, there's this gentleman who does this. Check out his profile on Facebook. And I said, okay. And then I saw his face. And then the next day, I was in Cape Town, where he's based. The next day, a friend of mine came he had also visited Cape Town. And then he was like, I see you're in Cape Town. I said, yeah, I'm also in Cape Town. Oh, let's meet. Okay, fine. Can you come to where I'm staying? I said, yeah, sure. You're actually staying like a few kilometers away from where I am.
Wow.
So it's actually, you can actually walk or whatever, but just come. And then I went there. And then he's introducing me to this gentleman. I'm seeing this gentleman. And I'm like, I was just seeing you.
Imagine.
Just like that. And then
amazing.
as we talked, they said, no, I know how to help you on this. I know how to help you on this.
Wow.
And then from this other friend of mine who I had gone to see initially, just then seemed like he was no longer existing. It was now me and that gentleman. And from then on, life has continued. So, yeah, we need to always see. At times we don't get to see how God has been involved in our lives. And also at times we are not grateful enough, because possibly we look at the things that we still want and we still haven't got. But I always remind people to say, when you're looking in your life, there are certain things that you don't have, that you would love to have, but you don't have. But there are certain things that other people have that you wouldn't want to have and you don't have. So you would also need to appreciate God. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes sense. You really need to be grateful for where you're at while you're waiting for the more that you're praying for.
Yeah, because there are other people who have money, but
they don't sleep.
Yeah? Or they have got a disease. You don't have money, you don't have the disease. You don't have both. You should be grateful, because if the devil shows you certain things that you don't have, you should also show him certain things also
you have.
that you also don't
I
have,
like.
that other people have. To
Yes,
say, you know,
yes.
I don't have money, but I don't have stress.
Yeah, it's like what people
You know.
say, that you always think you're worse off, that your situation is the worst, whatever challenges are,
Yeah.
they're the worst, until you get to hear someone else's story, and you'll be like, I think I'm in a better position. Thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually very powerful.
So we need also to be just grateful. So I think basically that's what I
Wow,
will say
wow,
to
wow.
whoever is watching or listening to this.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you, are you a coach as well, or not really? Like a life coach?
I'm
or
not a coach.
Not a coach as
I've
such.
had people call me coach.
Yeah, because I'm wondering the things you're saying. I wasn't sure now, because you do training. I know you run your own businesses and you write books, and you get called to speak at different functions.
Yeah.
So, but you're not a coach, a life coach.
I'm not a coach.
Okay. Do you consult? Can people meet you one-on-one or what?
Yeah, that happens. That happens a lot. I do
You
speak.
should be a purpose coach.
I could be a purpose
And you meet
coach,
people and then they tell you about
but I
themselves.
haven't gone because for coaching, I think it has to do with training
And certification.
and certification,
Okay.
and because that's you.
I think that would suit you.
That's because how I took it. How I took it is like, you are a practitioner of some sort,
Okay.
and these are people's destinies that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So you are like a doctor. You know, you are dealing with someone's life. If it's your doctor, you're dealing with someone's health,
yeah.
and it's their life. And if I'm a coach, I'm dealing with someone's destiny. So whatever that I'm going to be doing has got an effect on their destiny, not only theirs, but even those around them.
Okay.
So I have to be trained. Yes, I might be doing it already.
Informally,
But I need to have that certification of some sort to then say, yes, I can. Because I'm taking responsibility now.
For somebody's life.
For somebody's life. So
is it something you're considering or not?
I don't know.
You don't know. You're already doing it.
I don't know. It's also, I don't know.
You don't know. You'll see you're already
It's
doing
for me,
a
my
lot.
personal views are a bit, I could do it.
Or you could do it informally like you're doing. It's very helpful for the masses.
Yeah, my personal views on coaching, with all respect, is how I think the society has ridiculed the title coach.
Really?
So
I didn't even know about that.
They have the same way that they have. So I tried to run away from it because of that.
From titles.
Yeah, like I always give an example to say, if I am to be a prophet, if I can really prophesy straight from God, I don't think I would still run with the title prophet, because of how all prophets are now being.
People look at them as
Pastor is still safe. You know, if you are running with the title pastor, it's still safe.
But yeah, prophets,
prophet,
even
apostle,
ones,
and all that. Even not that they are not genuine ones, because even for us to have fake ones, it means we have to have genuine ones. So now,
evangelist, is that safe?
Evangelist is, I think it's still
that
safe.
one is safe.
It's still safe. It's still safe because no evangelist has been doing any.
Because they're about spreading the gospel.
Yeah.
With them, it's quite straighthtforward.
Yeah,
The
so
other ones, they've got different aspects. Like prophet has different aspects.
Yeah. So coming also from, like, it's more or less like being a motivational speaker. You know how people ridicule motivational. I started with one grain of rice, and I opened a restaurant. And so because of all of that, it's a branding issue now, I think, for me.
Yeah.
That even I believe perception is critical. So how people perceive you is also, that's how they will receive whatever that you're gonna give out.
Yeah.
So because of that also, that's another thing that I wouldn't want to.
You wouldn't want to be called Coach Ralph.
Yeah, no. Because
but it's okay for some people.
Yeah, it is actually
but not
good.
for you.
Yeah, for me,
you're doing
I just
the work anyway without the title.
Yeah.
It's not always about titles.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So now tell us which spaces we can find you in on social media, and then I think at the end we'll also put your details, because I'm sure even though you're not a coach, people would want to get hold of you for different reasons, whether it's for your books or whatever, or trainings or something for the organization. You never know. Where can we find you?
Okay, on social media, I'm Jonathan Ralph Kadurira.
Okay.
On LinkedIn, Jonathan Ralph Kadurira. On Facebook, Jonathan Ralph Kadurira. On Instagram, Jonathan Ralph Kadurira. On Twitter. So basically all my platforms are Jonathan Ralph.
I like that.
Kadurira.
Consistency is the same name throughout.
Throughout, yeah. So Google up or whatever, any platform, you'll find me. Yeah.
Well, what remains for me is to say thank you.
Oh,
You've taken a lot of time. Thank you. You know, you've given me a lot of time, given us a lot of time, and we're so appreciative. I know actually today that you fitted this interview between your meetings. So thank you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people out there have learnt a lot, and I think people will want to read, you know, some of your books. So thank you so much for coming.
I would actually want to thank
Yeah.
you for the
Yeah.
opportunity. I'm so humbled and honored. It was a good time. It made me also to, you know, to really think and see how God has been great in my life.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
And thank you to the audience. Thank you for watching to the end. Be blessed, and remember to like, to comment, and to share the story so that other people also can be blessed. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.